Is anyone else just a little concerned for the adults going no contact with their parents and then the parents just really don't seem to be unbothered?
Hey people, how you are doing today? It's your girl Destiny here and welcome to my channel. Hope you guys are doing fantastic. So this video we're talking about no contact and the whole conversation that has come with no contact with the parent. So this woman came on, I guess she's a millennial. She went on to talk about how some Gen X parents that we millennials and some Gen X children that are in no contact with their parents. It seems like the Gen X parents, they are kind of happy that we are in no contact with them because they don't care, because they are not reaching out, they are not even trying to build that bridge between us. And I find this conversation very interesting, especially coming from someone that is in no contact with one of our parents. So yeah, let's go check out what this woman have to say, because let me know down in the comment section, are you in no contact with your parents and do they bother to reach out to you? Let me know your own thought down in the comment section. So let's go check out what she has to say and if we agree with it or not.
Is anyone else just a little concerned for the adults going no contact with their parents and then the parents just really don't seem to be unbothered? Like, Gen X boomers are not really as phased by their adult children going no contact as I thought. And it's almost like they didn't want us in the first place.
Bad.
Too loud?
So let me know what you think about what she said down in the comment section. Do you agree with what she said? Do you think some Gen X parents and some boomer parents, they really don't care? It's almost like they are happy that we're in no contact with them. This video has gotten a lot of people talking. A lot of people are sharing their story and what they think about this statement. But let me know what you think about this down in the comment section, if you agree or disagree. And if you have your own story, go ahead and share it. So before we go check out people's thoughts on this, please, this is the perfect time for you, okay, for you to hit the subscribe button down there and click the notification bell so you get notified once I upload videos every single day. You don't want to miss out on our videos or on these videos on this channel, because we have amazing conversation, okay? So go ahead and share your thought. With that all said, guys, let's go check it out.
Is anyone else just a little concerned for the adults going no contact with their parents and then the parents?
So everything this creator is saying, I honestly feel like the reason why a lot of Gen Xers and boomers are not bothered when their kids go no contact, and she says it's because they probably didn't want us. And I really think that there's some truth to it, because you look at the way that they had the kid or kids. Like, one, there are a lot of people that probably wanted to get rid of the kid, but they couldn't because of religious reasons or societal pressure, or the people who basically had children because they didn't want the kids to be alone, so they just kept having more and more and more kids. Or there's some places you go to where if you have a daughter and you don't have a son, you failed, so they have to keep trying until they have a son, right? And also, I've really noticed that they like to be perceived a certain way. Like, you know, the perfect family dynamic. They don't care about how their kids perceive them. They mostly care about what other people think about them. And that's why they don't care. They're not bothered because they don't give a crap. And these kids are just like whatever to them until they actually need them. That's when they'll say or do something, but truly they'll never apologize.
They didn't want us in the first place.
No, honey, that's not it. Some of y'all are just wrong. That's what it is.
Okay.
Some of y'all are just wrong. Like, we're all human. You've got the likelihood of being wrong, just like your parents have the likelihood of being wrong. Some of y'all are wrong. And when you decide that you want to go no contact, we're like, okay, final tantrum thrown. Now we can get some quiet time around here. That's what it really is. And, you know, I'm thankful that my children, I have 2 adult children, have never done some no contact with me. You know, we've lived a different life because I am a Gen Xer and I already raised children. So I kind of had a jump on it. And I do love them. And you know what? Some parents are, give it. But at the same time, some of you adult children are also. And you've always been. You're at 4, you're at 14, you're at 24. You'll probably be at 34. And your parents know it. Some of y'all are wrong. And you ought to be glad that your parents didn't go no contact with you first. You're just as likely to be wrong as we are. And that is why some of y'all's parents are completely unfazed. when you go no contact. Now you know.
Gen X boomers are not really as fazed by their adult children going no contact.
So this is an interesting video from this young lady. So I would recommend you go back and watch her whole video for context and then come on back. So this is a great conversation to have with individuals because no contact has become a buzzword of sorts, especially in the last 5 years. So I'm an LCSW, licensed clinical social worker, and I work as a therapist. So I have room to talk. So I'm not just somebody coming up on TikTok just randomly saying stuff. I work in the profession and I see it. And I can tell you that there's just a small number of individuals that go no contact are going no contact for what I personally and morally feel is legitimate reasons. We're talking abuse, whether it be of a SA nature, molestation, physical, mental abuse, verbal abuse, and things of that nature. Traumatic events, okay? And then there's a larger percentage of individuals that will go no contact. And they're not going no contact for reasons such as what I mentioned earlier. They're going no contact for what they perceive as slights. My parent didn't do what someone else's parent did, which I felt they should have done. You know, say you go to college, you're not doing well, or you do well in college, but you got to move back home. Your parents establish some boundaries for your conduct in their home. You violate those. They tell you to get out. You get mad and say, I'm going no contact. Stuff like that. That's what I'm talking about. So individuals, if you choose to go no contact and then your parent doesn't give the response that you feel is warranted, then maybe you should ask yourself, why are you going no contact? Are you really going no contact because you don't want to contact them, or are you attention seeking? Because no contact has become a huge buzzword and a fad. Like it's a cool thing to do versus maybe trying to address your parent as an adult because that's what you are, and maybe saying, hey, let's go to counseling and let's talk about this, because that does happen. I have seen adult children with their parents in sessions trying to work through some things that happened to them in their past that they need to work through. Or you as an individual, maybe you should just go get treatment and figure out what is it about you that you think that no contact is a solution. Again, if you're part of that small percentage, I got it. But if you're part of that bigger swath, no. But again, you can't get mad at somebody for respecting your boundary. So if you tell your parents, don't talk to you, don't contact you, and they don't, then you got what you asked for. Or maybe sit down and have an adult conversation with them. Or seek family therapy, because I've been in sessions with adult children and their parents dealing with some things. And I will tell you, more times than not, it's the adult children who have this air of, I don't want to say arrogance, but they just have this air of, and then there's also the parents too, because the parents often didn't establish boundaries before that adult child came back into their home. And instead of establishing boundaries and say, hey, this is what I'm expecting of you if you move back into my home while you're trying to get on your feet. And if you can't respect that, maybe you should go someplace else. But yeah, just remember, there's 3 sides to every story. Yours, theirs, and somewhere in the middle, you're going to find the truth. And typically, for people like me as a therapist, I'm typically in the middle, and I end up finding the truth between both parties.
Okay.
I'm not saying, I'm just saying.
Okay.
Holla at your boy.
For the adults going no contact with their parents, and then the parents just really don't seem to be on.
That's because both sides just don't care. We're tired. And I speak as a kid who, not as a kid, I'm a grown man. I've been no contact with my own mother for about 3 years. And it's not like she tries to take accountability or try to fix the reasons why I went no contact. And I think now that I'm a parent as well, you know, I can see both sides of the equation. And the reality is that both sets of adults feel like there's really nothing to fight for. Older parents are never going to really say, hey, I'm sorry, this is how I hurt you, this is what I did wrong, this is what I'm going to do to fix it. A lot of them just have a huge ego. And a lot of us children are just like, nah, you know what, I don't want to be bothered with this.
Is anyone else just a little concerned for the adults going no contact with their parents and then the parents?
I've thought about this video a lot because I was trying to think what is the difference between Gen X and the generation above mine, and then also how we were raised as children. I definitely remember in my period of time, we were going through a lot of transition in terms of parenting, because we were the first generation where parents, I mean, they used to be able to at school. They paddle you at school, other people you. Me being a Gen X child, the expectation was really that you were going to take care of yourself. And our parents, my parents were silent generation, they were raised to believe that when children got to be 18 years old, they got out of the house and that was just kind of it. And then your responsibilities were done. I'm very close to my children. My children the oldest is 16 and the youngest is 13. I never want them to leave the house, but I think living in houses and staying close intergenerationally is kind of a new concept, especially in the United States, where there's this belief that, you live in these like isolated family systems instead of having these large family groups living together. I think that the recession and the economic states have kind of changed that to where a lot of people are living together. But I would be devastated if my children didn't have contact with me when they got older. But I think the generation above me and, some of those periods of time, that was kind of expected in a lot of ways, that like you were not necessarily close to your family members. But I think there was a lot of people that were raised to be narcissistic also. They were raised to just like believe in themselves and sort of like be interested in their own, particularly in the boomer generation, where they had all this material things that were sort of available to them, that they didn't necessarily have to think about the next person. I mean, look at the condition of the earth. That's a pretty good estimation. That's a pretty good estimation of where that mindset is. It's like we just don't care if it doesn't directly impact us.
Is anyone else just a little concerned for the adults going no contact with their parents and then the parents?
So my mom is Gen X and I definitely hear you, but I'm having kind of like the opposite experience. And I usually don't really care to talk about it too much in depth, but I'm annoyed today and I'm gonna share. As you can see, I can only breathe out of one side of my nose. And why does this have anything to do with it? Well, I'm going to tell you why. Again, my mom is Gen X. I am 29 years old, so I'm like at my big. I am still having sinus issues directly affected by when I was a child because I used to have pretty chronic ear infections and to the point where both of my eardrums ruptured. And you might be like, okay, well, Colleen, didn't that hurt? How did they get to the point where they ruptured? Wouldn't you think that before that they ruptured, you had like an ear infection and then you went to the doctor and then they saw that and gave you some antibiotics? No. And I'm going to tell you, my mother was so emotionally and mentally unstable. Anything that triggered her, like she just couldn't be bothered by it. And of course, we know like having a child is very triggering. And she was very triggered by her mother. And a big part of that was her knowing or assuming that her mother was a hypochondriac, because I believe that just mentally she was unwell. And one of the ways that she was able to gather sympathy was by complaining about her ailment. So as a child, when I would complain about pain or discomfort, my mom would say, stop being a hypochondriac, you're just like your grandmother. So at a relatively young age, me being a smart child, I'm not bragging, I was academically gifted, like I was reading at a college level in like fourth, I learned to stop complaining when I was in pain or discomfort. And then I would not complain until it got so bad that my ears were literally like bleeding. And in many ways, my mom could not be bothered to be a mother in the way that a mother should mother, but she wanted the accolades, she wanted the attention, she wanted the title, she wanted to be known as being a good, strong mother that, you know, did everything for her child. But at the end of the day, behind closed doors, she did not do everything for her child. A lot of times she couldn't even be bothered to brush my hair. Like, she just didn't know anything about curly hair. So she was like, I think that a lot of them really either didn't want to be mothers or just didn't know. They thought like, oh, that's what you're supposed to do. And they wanted what it looked like to be a parent. Then they realized, oh, this is hard. So this whole time that I've been no contact, my mom has been obsessively like berating me and my boyfriend online and trying to get back in contact with me, showing up at my house unannounced at times. But I told her what she'd have to do for this relationship to work, and she just outright bulldozed through all the boundaries that I set. She just doesn't like that it looks bad that she doesn't have a relationship with her child. I don't think that she actually misses me. She misses having me there to support her. She misses this caricature in this warped reality that she holds within her mind of what I represent to her, not actually me. And so I think that a lot of us had those types of dealings with those generations as parents. And now this is really frustrating because I'm pursuing my hobby of singing and I can't go to choir practice tonight because I can barely talk this long, let alone sing. So I have this blockage in my nose. So yay!
Or the adults going no contact with their parents, and then the parents just really don't seem to be unbothered.
I haven't spoken to my parents since Thanksgiving due to a number of reasons, but the two main ones being that during that time of like Thanksgiving weekend, there was just some very unacceptable behavior, some very evil things said to me. And after almost 30 years of letting them say whatever they want to me, I spoke up. And the craziest thing is that this is just because I had to tell them that me and my husband and my daughter were having to move back to where we had just moved from due to really unforeseen circumstances. And then also someone wrongly putting my daughter as a form of punishment. She's 10. She can have a conversation. She understands reasoning. She's still 10 and makes mistakes. But she does not need forceful punishment. So that's the spark notes of that. And during that time, me and my husband were on my parents' phone plan to save some money. Well, in the absolute monologue of a text that was sent to not just me, but our entire family chat, putting me, my husband, our marriage, everything on blast, I was also told that we needed to get off their phone line or their phone plan ASAP. Great. Love that for me. We just found out that we're going to have to literally uproot and move again and spend thousands of dollars to move back when we just spent thousands of dollars to move in the first place. But we'll get off your phone plan. Don't worry. Well, in order to do that, we ended up having to get new phone numbers because our numbers were like linked to their account and they would have had to go into their account and release our numbers. And I was like, that's probably not going to happen. So we should just get new numbers. I've had that number that I did have since like 2015, if not longer than that. Anyway, rabbit trail there. So yeah, I was 4 months pregnant at this time. I am now 38 weeks and 4 days. I'm a week and a half out from my due date, and I have not spoken to my parents since. I tried to keep a relationship with my grandma, but she could not understand or respect my reasoning for having to cut my parents off. My siblings haven't really seemed to give an absolute crap about me, my husband, or my unborn baby. It seems like the only person anybody misses is my daughter. Like, this past year has been the worst and most stressful year of my life, and no one in my family that I do still talk to has checked up on me to make sure that, like, me and the baby are okay, because it's been some high stress this past year. I had invited my grandma and my sisters to my baby shower. I invited my grandma before I had to cut her off too, because she just was causing me more stress than anything about the whole situation. So I told her if she couldn't respect it, then she was going to be out too. But my in-laws threw an amazing baby shower for friends and family, and not a single person from my family was there. I will not have my mom there after I give birth to my son. And not once has my parents or my grandmother tried to reach out and apologize or make amends or anything. And I understand I got a new phone number and my parents don't have it, and they're blocked anyway. But if they wanted to, they would. That doesn't just apply to romantic relationships. My grandmother has my address and has found a way to send a birthday card and an Easter card for my daughter, but no correspondence to me or my husband. So if my parents really wanted to, they could get my address from my grandmother, send a card or something. Like, they live 3 hours away, so they can't just drop by, but like, if they wanted to, they would and they could. And I just feel like I am the burden that was finally lifted off their shoulders, and they couldn't care less. I refuse to let my kids ever feel this way. I don't care how bad it is. I refuse. I refuse to let my kids give birth to their kids without having the support of their mother and father. We're done choosing pride over family. We're going to start accepting when we've done someone wrong. We're going to start apologizing. I apologize to my 10-year-old all the time when I'm out of line because I'm a little emotional and stuff, and I get snappy and stuff. I make mistakes as a parent, and we can apologize to our kids. But I can't get my 56-year-old parents and my almost 80-year-old grandmother to just own it, swallow their pride, and just apologize and then be done with it. They would rather just never talk to me again than to just own it. If you're a parent and your child has cut off contact from you, do better. Do better. Swallow your pride and do better. And speaking as a child who has cut off her parents, I cry about it a lot. And I miss my parents. Even though they've hurt me, I miss my mom and dad. Everyone misses their mom and dad. They want their mom and dad. And I love them very much still. And I still hope that one day, like, we can fix things. So just know that your kids don't hate you. They just want better for them and their kids.
Let me know your own thoughts about people's thoughts and their story about this conversation down in the comment section. But please keep it respectful. As always, here on this channel, we're allowed to disagree, but we do it in a respectful way. So feel free to share your opinion. I'd love to know what you think about these parents and no contact. I know that I have so much to say about this, but I want to know what you have to say. Just go down and share your own thoughts, okay? So coming from someone that is in no contact with a dad, I've been in no contact with my dad since 2020, and this conversation, I find it like, it's just typical. I feel like, before I get into it, okay, let me get back my thought. Before I get into it, the last lady that stitched this video, I'm not trying to rubbish somebody's story. She didn't give us full context and all that and all that. But I'm just saying, like, some of the things I noticed, like, I, as an outsider, the things you shared, and I'm just like, okay. First, you already know you and your husband, you're going through something, but you're having a child. You see? Could that be the reason why the parents are like, okay, don't go no contact, go and do your stuff, do you? Could that be it? I get where she's coming from, talking about, oh, how they could easily get in contact with her, but I feel like there's a thin line between no contact, like you really don't want your parents to have no contact with you, like you're just done with their toxic way, and you're like, no, I'm not going to deal with this person out of my life, than when you're using it as a tactic to get their attention. I feel like there's two different line there, and I feel like maybe this is it's time for us to that start drawing that line to know, okay, no contact with, I don't want to deal with this person ever again, this person is dead in my head, gone, and all that. Or no contact with the one you're wishing that they will reach out and all that. And I feel like this is how we're going to demarcate, like share this thing. If you are in no contact with any of your parents, or you're in no contact with any of your child, what will you do if they call you and say that person died? Will you miss that person? Will you well and like, oh, I miss this person, I wish I set things right with them, I wish I had that conversation with them? Will you do that? For me, I feel like if your answer is yes, you will feel terrible that you didn't hatch things out with them, then don't go no contact with them. Like for me personally, that's my advice. Don't go no contact with them. Go sort out your issues with them, because anything can happen. But if you are that person, like myself, that the person is already dead to you, you like you've made peace with it, like you will never have a contact with this person, you don't want to ever deal with this person and all that, and you will be at peace even if they call you and say, oh, this person passed away. You're like, okay, life, move on. There's no missing, there's no emotion anymore over there. There go no contact. Coming from someone that I'm in no contact with my dad, that's just it. Like I know he would never reach out, I know he does not care, and I know for sure that he will not, like, he will always, he has this narcissist thing about him that you always have to be the one to come back to beg him and all that, and he sit down on his throne and all that. I've shared my story here about why I went no contact with my dad. If you're new here, sorry, I don't think I want to share it in this video, but yeah, I'm in no contact with him, and it is what it is. I think I did it in my life, my previous life, the life 2 life ago I did. I think I shared it, and I've shared it a couple of times on some couple of videos. But when you have a parents like that, that everything in this life is how they are going to able to control you and control everything around you, and they don't care, especially when it comes to life and death, like they really showed you that they don't care, like that just it. And I also feel like the Gen X and the bloomers, like the lady was asking the question, like they're acting like they don't really care. Yeah, I feel like a lot of them had kids with the old mindset of, oh, these are the things I should do, the way society has programmed it, like, oh, after this you have kids, you do this, you do that. I feel like they've programmed that's why they have kids. It's not because they know they want to be a parent, or they know they are good parents. They just had it because that's society standard. And now they really like they are done with our foolishness as kids. Like, you know what, I'm done with this human being that I brought, that has stressed me, that have put so much finance, that like now they don't even want to deal with us. So we saying that we don't want no contact with them, they're just like, thank God, like just stay your stay and all that. And some of them, they just still want, when you say no contact, they still want that attachment to you because of that fear of being alone, of who is going to take of them in old age and all that. And I feel like if they can wrap up who is going to take care of them in old age, like they know that they are solid in old age, they will not need you to take care of them, they will not respond to the no contact thing. They will not try to resolve issues. And that is why someone like my dad will never, like my dad will never reach out to me, that I know. And that's because I know that he has sorted himself out. Like he knows he does not need me or any of his kids to take care of him in his old age, and he's fine with it. So anybody that wants to go, any of his children that wants to go no contact with him, my dad will not reach out. It is what it is. He's the king, he's the mighty. He does not care about anybody but himself. He acts like sometimes he cares, but the truth is that he does not care. He doesn't check up on anybody. He doesn't empathize with anybody. If he cannot control you, he's pissed. He's literally pissed if he cannot control you. I've been in no contact with my mom, and we resolve our issue. Like I've said it before, myself and my mom, we've done the process where we've healed ourselves, we've healed our trauma, we've talked through our challenges in life, and we're in a better place. But yeah, if you're in no contact with your parents and you still feel like there's a chance you guys can resolve it, reach out to them and try to resolve it. But it is still like a headstrong thing. Just let it go. Let them be dead here. Just let it go. because sometimes you need to protect yourself, your space, your mental health, and even your own life. Well, because that was the reason why I did no contact with my dad, because it affected my own life in terms of life. Like it was literally life and death situation, and he didn't care. And for me, I just blocked it out like that's it. It's dead to me, like gone, done. Even though, like, yeah. Anyway, guys, I love to know your own take about this down in the comment section. Why do you think the Gen X parents, they don't want anything to do with us? Go ahead, especially those of us that has valid reasons to go no contact with them, right? They don't want anything to do with us. And then, before I go, I just want to also say that there are some people that are in no contact with their parents just for manipulation tactics, just so that they can have their way. There are some people, their no contact is no contact, and it's just manipulation to get their attention, to hold their parents to ransom because they feel they can, not because of a really tangible reason that is affecting their life and their health or their mental health. Not at all. So if you're that person, be careful. Okay. Anyway, guys, please go down in the comment section and share your thoughts. Love to know what you think about this amazing conversation down in the comment section. But please keep it respectful as always. Go on and share this video with somebody that you want to be part of the conversation, because that's what we do here. We have banging conversation. So go ahead and share this video. Don't forget to give this video a thumbs up, smash the like button, because this helps YouTube to push out my content for more people to see, and that will be you supporting this channel and this girl. Yeah, subscribe if you haven't, and I'll see you guys in my next video. Deuces.